Come, Nerevar, come. Let us delve into the world of Skyrim diseases and their effects. In this tier list, I will rank each disease by its effectiveness in my godly opinion. How can you doubt a god? What a grand and intoxicating innocence. Without further delay, let's get down with the sickness. We start with Ataxia. Oh, it does sound positively dreadful. Almost like it was made up just to annoy us. You even get it from annoying creatures such as skeevers, frostbite spiders, slaughterfish, and even from traps in dungeons. Why, I bet whoever it was didn't stop to consider our comfort once, just gallivanting about with this disease that makes lockpicking and pickpocketing oh so much harder. Whatever will those poor dragonborns do? Generally, though, unless you are a thief, Enwa, there is no effect on you. In fact, I praise this disease since it's affecting certain farm tools. Makes it harder for them to escape. Overall, though, it belongs in the F tier. Black Heart, Blight, oh, that's dreadful. Imagine the Dragonborn, brave and strong, not even able to carry as much as they were before coming down with this disease. Why, they might not be able to carry that huge pile of gold they were planning on bringing back to their home even. However will they cope, not being able to carry as much? They'll just have to lie down and cry, that's what. I would give it the S tier for originating from the 6th house and the tribe Unmourned. Unfortunately, this disease is not contractable in the game, and you have to use mods to be able to contract it, so I will put it in A tier. On that note, if you want a sermon of Skyrim or Elder Scrolls disease mods, write, "Give me the Blight," Lord Dagoth on the parchment below. Next, we have Brain Rot. Oh, that's simply awful. It practically sounds like the most dreadful of diseases, doesn't it? Imagine the Dragonborn, brave as they are, having their brains slowly rotting away, not being able to think clearly or to fight properly. They would likely struggle in all sorts of situations, not to mention having to live with the knowledge that they are slowly but surely dying. Truly an awful disease indeed, I dare say the most awful you could have chosen. Although I suppose the Skyrim brain rot is not as bad as the brain rot that can be found on TikTok or generic songs from that Breton Enwa Taylor Swift. This disease can be contracted from hag ravens and traps. Oh, how fitting. In any case, it is funny to watch people lose their minds from this affliction. However, it belongs in the B tier, since it is not the most dangerous disease in the Mundus. Droops, isn't that the one where the body goes all floppy? Sorry, pardon my language. And they just sort of slither to the ground like a blob. It's utterly ridiculous, really. Imagine the Dragonborn having to crawl around on the floor like a snake, or worse, like a slug. Why, I simply cannot imagine anything more humiliating for one so brave as the Dragonborn. It really is an awful disease. It only affects the one-handed skill, which also is not anything too impressive. F-tier disease. Yes, lycanthropy. Now, that is a disease that is worth taking a proper look at. It can turn a person into one of those horrid werewolves, and some fools call it a blessing, but it's really more of a curse, I would say. The brave and strong Dragonborn may find themselves suddenly a monster, and worse still, with the silver hand and vigilance of Stendarr on their trail if they're spotted. Truly a horrible way to live, or rather, exist. For a werewolf is hardly fit to call themselves alive. However, why would you turn yourself into a farm tool, Nerevar? Wait, what? What do you mean that was the whole point of Blood Moon? Is this how you honor the 6th house and the tribe Unmourned? All right. By how effective it is, I would give it the S tier, but if we rated the werewolves alone, they would be an F tier, due to their farm tool status. Ah, Rattles. That's another particularly dreadful disease, I understand. It can be contracted from both chorus as well as traps, though I must admit I cannot quite figure out why that is the case. Regardless, it makes the body so very rattly, which is not a pleasant sensation at all, I dare say, to feel like one's bones are shaking, shuddering, even as one makes the slightest of movements, It must be an awful feeling. Indeed, I think I would go quite mad. Half of your stamina is gone because of some bug bite or some infected trap. B tier, honestly, since its classes are indiscriminate. Please raise your thumbs, subscribe to my sermons, and write on the parchment below to honor the 6th house and the trap. I mean, tribe unmourned. Moving on, next we have Rockjoint. Yes, I've heard of that one. It's dreadful. Why, a disease that inflicts a person's joints with such horrid pain as to cause immobility, it makes me shudder to think about. The Dragonborn, once able to move so swiftly and skillfully, must then be reduced to a rather sad sight, no more able to move than a stiff mannequin. It is no wonder that this disease is so terribly feared. To not be able to move, it is quite the terrifying thing, I agree. It seems that one can contract Rockjoint from a variety of sources. Domesticated Gar and Dusky Allet in Morrowind appear to be able to pass it along. The same goes for zombies in Cyrodiil. Wolves, familiars, and cave bears in Skyrim have also been known to bestow this dreadful disease upon others. So, it appears that there are rather a number of ways to be afflicted. However, as a god, I am immune to disease because I am the disease. I will give this a generous B tier, as it only is detrimental to melee builds. Now, this is an interesting one, I must say. Vampirism, or Sanguinare Vampiris, to use its correct name, is certainly a disease worthy of the utmost caution. It is carried by actual vampires and not ash vampires, you see, and should one be infected without a cure, will transform them into one themselves. This would, of course, bring with it the aforementioned vulnerability to sunlight, as well as many others such as weakness to fire and silver. To be bitten by a vampire and to fail to cure the resulting disease, well, it would be a true tragedy. You either become a farm tool thrall, or you become an S-tier vampire lord in regards to this disease. I already spoke in detail about vampirism in a previous sermon. However, to quickly go over its drawbacks, I will let my band, the Farm Tools, explain the stages of vampirism to you, Nerevar.
4 stages mark the vampire's plight. Stage 1 begins your endless night. Each vanished sun, the hunger grows.
All right, you don't need to hear the full song. You get the gist of it, Nerevar. Finally, we have Witbane. Ah, yes, Witbane. Now, this is the sort of disease that really hits wizards and mages where it hurts. It cuts off their ability to regenerate magicka, which is something of a critical issue when their entire existence and fighting style revolves around one's spells being available. You get it from ice wraiths, saber cats, and traps. Should a mage come down with Witbane, they would be quite at their most vulnerable indeed, which makes this disease rather terrible to get for them, especially when the only way to get it is through combat. I would give it the A tier, as without magicka, it is difficult for any mage or sorcerer to achieve any goals. Oh, you thought I forgot about Bonebreak Fever? Don't be silly, Nerevar. I am a god. I don't forget things, even when I am on skooma. Now, Bonebreak Fever, that certainly sounds like a most unpleasant disease, doesn't it? To be afflicted with it means the body is racked with pain as the bones within are broken and fractured, causing much torment. And the fact that one can get it from both bears as well as traps makes it that much worse. I dare say it is quite a dreadful disease indeed, and it would certainly deserve the lower end of the C tier, I should imagine.
In any case, don't forget to honor the 6th house and the tribe unmourned by raising your thumbs, subscribing to my sermons, and inscribing your thoughts in the parchment below. I thank my loyal patrons for not being needies. Special thanks to the adoring fan Connor, Runda, and immense gratitude to this realm's Sharma Tanya Davis.